Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mindful Morning Moment for today, October 21st. Just a few housekeeping things before I get started. We do have a social equity task force meeting today, or not task force meeting, I apologize, social equity town hall meeting today at 4 p.m. So I do recommend, everybody to attend. Also, Ignite is taking place today. It is the open house certification course. That's at 9 a.m. I'm not currently able to go live on Facebook. I'm just recording this, but I'll try to get it posted as quickly as possible. We also have our monthly stakeholders meeting today at 1 p.m. So please make sure you plan on attending that as well. So today I have a couple of great things to discuss with all of you. I'm really focused around creating joy. So I've talked a lot about, hold on, let me get the page shared. I've referenced a lot of articles on mindful.org. That's been kind of one of my favorite resources to pull from for these mindful morning moments. And this was kind of a quick article that links to other things. So we'll talk about a couple of pieces. But what really stood out to me is just this being intentional about creating space to experience joy, because it's actually something I did over this past weekend as well. I've been feeling really discouraged that with not having any like travel coming up. I'm a person that really loves to travel and go experience new things and new places. I was bummed. I loved the virtual mega camp experience, but I was a little bummed that I hadn't just gotten back, from Austin a couple of weeks ago. And just looking forward to the winter and expecting a baby. I know I'm going to be spending a lot of time at home. So what me and my husband did this weekend is we went through all of our pictures from our vacation in March and put like a book together on Shutterfly and ordered prints just to kind of take some time to relive that. So I identified that I was having this stress and then tried to do something about it. And it really did help to create that joy and to kind of relive that great vacation for a little bit. So I thought that would be the perfect lead into our mindful morning moment for today. So how do we do, how do we do that when there's so much vying for our attention all at once? From the national trauma of racial injustice to climate change to cultural fragmentation, social unrest, and targeted purposeful trust erosion at the highest levels of leadership, not to mention a global pandemic, our brains are overloaded. So how to protect yourself from pandemic brain. Neuroscientist Amishi Jiha has a name for moments like the one we all find ourselves in. She calls them VUCA events, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. She's been studying what happens to our brains under these circumstances. Hint, it's not pretty. I'll post this link in the group so that you can look at that a little bit closer. In this issue, Dr. Jiha explains that while her research says about how mindfulness can help protect you from the kind of constant stress we're in these days. So they suggest trying to get deep sleep and then have a companion guide for these times as well. And that's what will be our meditation today, is taking a moment to practice a guided grace practice meditation. From that was created by a Buddhist teacher. So that's the meditation we'll get started in a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit more about joy though. So looking at this article that was from November of last year, I'm sparking joy, a mindfulness practice for every day. So joy is an intrinsic attitude of the mind that includes gladness of the heart, soft-heartedness, and tenderness that supports a capacity for appreciation, contentment, and gratitude. Just as our hearts can tremble in the face of suffering, they can also tremble in the face of happiness and beauty. Its effective tone is gladness, aliveness, and vitality. And it's associated with a range of emotions, including contentment, wonder, radiant pride, gratitude, and delight, which I think is something we could all use right now. All right, yeah, the Go Live feature is just not going to work today, unfortunately. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. So let's talk first about the enemies of joy. The near enemies of joy are sentimentality and exuberance. We may be carried away by the idea of joy rather than being truly alive to it in the given moment. For example, we denote days of the year to celebration, and it's possible to get caught up in the pretense rather than being open to joy whenever it arises. So joy helps us befriend difficulties and meet suffering with equanimity and compassion. We have a capacity for joy and a capacity to find joy in others, happiness and success. Indeed, the foundational teachings, the empathic, altruistic dimensions of joy are emphasized, creating the conditions for connection and harmony. So finding joy in others' happiness is an antidote to resentment, lessening our own sense of inadequacy and tempering our tendency towards envy. The far enemy of joy is resentment, and the wonderful German word of Schadenfreude, where we take pleasure in someone else's failure. Finding joy in others' happiness is an antidote to resentment, lessening our own sense of inadequacy and tempering our tendency towards envy. When we free our minds and hearts from envy, resentment, covetousness, and continual judging, we can really appreciate our own and others' well-being. So cultivating and practicing joy. So how can we actually do that? Let's talk about some mindfulness exercises for appreciative joy. Bringing your whole heart to the moment. Joy has its roots in a wholeheartedness, appreciative attention. As you go about your day, bring your attention to seeing, touching, and listening wholeheartedly, mindful of how you are touching and being touched by the world. Take a moment to pause, to feel the touch of the breeze on your skin, to hear the laughter of a child on the playground, to fully taste the food that you eat. Yesterday was a really beautiful afternoon. I definitely took a moment to step outside and to really appreciate that. Also, even my drive home on 295, it's really pretty right now with the leaves changing. So just, there are moments throughout your day that can spark joy if you just have your mind open to seeing them. So sense the small moments of generosity you extend to or receive from others, the smile, the door held open. In every moment, sense what it is that holds the potential to gladden your heart when you're truly present. Number 2, cultivate innocent perception of everyday things. Each day, intentionally bring awareness to something you do regularly that you know you enjoy. It could be anything: your morning cup of tea or coffee, a walk, a favorite snack, an interaction with someone you appreciate or love, a person or a pet, or a spacious moment in your day while you travel. Commit to being wholeheartedly present, aware of your body sensations, feelings, and thoughts. Bring an innocent perception and sensitivity to the experience, to whatever is present in terms of sights, sounds, taste, and touch. Really sense how attention imbued with innocent perception affects the world of the moment. Allow your heart to tremble in the midst of the experience, gladdened by the simplicity of the moment. So it's really, bringing your whole heart. So being present, as well as taking the time to notice those things that you're already doing, right? It's really easy to take for granted that first cup of coffee in the morning because you're just thinking about everything you need to do after you finish that cup of coffee. But instead, take a moment and think about, I really enjoy coffee. I'm really going to enjoy this first sip. So just finding joy in the smaller everyday pieces of it. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started now with the guided meditation. So this is the latest Mindful Live session, where we'll discuss resilience for divided times with Mindful's editor, Heather Herlock, and offer a short guided grace practice. So grace invites the body and the mind to soften along with the heart. So first we want to, make sure you find a comfortable position for your body. If you're seated in a chair, place your feet flat on the floor or sit cross-legged if the chair allows. Allow your spine to elongate and find harmony with being alert and relaxed. Sorry, I'm going to adjust the pillow behind me. It's getting harder and harder to be comfortable these days, to be honest. So begin by taking a few long, deep breaths, and then I'll go ahead and start the video to get started. Let me make sure my sound is shared.
going to invite everyone to find a comfortable position for your body. You're seated in a chair, placing your feet flat on the floor, allowing the spine to stretch and elongate. Finding that harmony between being alert and relaxed. If it's comfortable to you, you may close your eyes or instead cast them in a softened downward gaze. And as we transition from conversation to practice, just simply taking in a few comfortable, long, deep breaths in and out, allowing the body to settle, the mind to settle, and the breath to settle into its natural rhythm. In this practice, we will experience grace. Many of you know this was created by Roshi Joan Halifax and has been adapted for many audiences and populations. The name alone, grace, saying it out loud, invites the body and the mind to soften along with the heart. Each of the letters stand for something different as we guide ourselves and support ourselves in any moment. So let us practice grace. With the first letter of G, stands for gathering attention. Taking a moment, and placing your attention and gathering it here. You may, for the moment, place it on the sound or sensation of your breath. A softened gaze at a visual object or even a sound. Sometimes we need options of where we place our attention for focused periods of time. I often call this a home base. So gathering your attention and placing it on your home base for this next moment. Next, we'll move to the letter R in the GRACE framework. R stands for recalling intention. In these moments, in this moment, I invite you to recall an intention. Perhaps it's why you are here today. What brings you here? Perhaps an intention for you is to simply be open to discovering new ways to be resilient and engage in self-care. Whatever it is for you in this moment, I invite you to recall your intention now and then allow it to dissipate or kind of drop like seeds on soil to fertilize it. As you recall and set your intention and just letting it go. We don't maintain our intention or focus on our intention. Rather, we just simply set it as a gift to ourselves for this time. And next, we'll move into A, attuning to self and others. First, let's focus on attuning to ourselves, taking the next moment to do a brief body scan, checking in with the body. How is it feeling? Where do you notice any sensations or none at all? Seeing if you can notice not just locations in the body, but also the nature and type of sensation that might be present. Could it be tightness, tingling, neutrality? Noticing where it is and what it is, giving it a brief or short label. The next step in attuning, in any kind of situation, conversation, or condition, is to attune to others. We walk through the world alive and interconnected and interdependent. So it's so important for us to first attune to ourselves, then to take that quality of presence and awareness out into the world as we attune to and with others. So for this practice, perhaps it might be just attuning to those on the call here and see what that feels like to bring awareness to this virtual space. And next, the letter C, considering what would serve, reminding ourselves that self-care is not selfish. It's actually one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves and others, because we cannot give from an empty well. So I invite you in this next moment to be curious, open about what would really serve you, your self-care and resilience capacity in these moments, in these days, in these challenging times. What else might be needed to support you best? And finally, moving to the last letter in the grace practice, ethical, ending, and engagement, which simply means what is at least one wise action you can take. Perhaps you can reflect back to your notation of what would serve. Maybe there's one first step you can take here. What might that be? And as you consider that, notice what it feels like, what it would look like. Taking a deep breath in and out, beginning to feel your feet on the floor and your bodies in the chairs. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and bring your attention back to the virtual room here with everyone. Thank you for your practice.
All right. I hope everybody enjoyed that session today. Like I said, unfortunately, the live stream on Facebook didn't work, so I'll get the YouTube link posted. And there's a couple minutes before Ignite starts, so hopefully I have time to do that before. Thank you all so much. See you next week. Bye-bye.